Okay, so your photo editor project is going to be the first project that you get started on working towards with your final. So you're going to develop a character. That's going to be the first step in this. You can have just one or you can have multiple depending on what you're kind of thinking that you want to do for your final. I did go over what the final is going to be at the end of the multimedia module. So if you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch that video so that you have an idea of where you need to start off. Okay, so for this project in Photoshop, what you're going to start off with is either a hand-drawn character that either you create, somebody you know creates, it could be your kids, it could be your friends, anyone that you know that creates drawings, or you can start off with a coloring book page and kind of work from there. I started mine with a coloring book page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch on over and kind of show you where I started and the steps that I went through to create this. So what you're going to do is start off with this base drawing and you're going to add textures to it. Those textures to make it a little bit more lifelike, a little bit more realistic, but still kind of on the cartoon illustrated kind of feel. Okay, so this is the bear I started off with, and I knew that I wanted him to be furry. So I got this nice pink fur that I'm going to put on him. This is what I'm going to use for his necktie. And then I'm also going to include some white patches on his paws, just using color and shapes in the program. Now, I also want you to put your character into a location or into some kind of a background. So I'm simply going to have him flying through the sky, which means he needs a way to fly, and I'm going to use these balloons. So my final project is going to end up looking like this. So you can see that we have the background, we have the balloons, and we have the bear now sitting on top of all of it. Now you can use any of the skills that you learned in lesson 1 and 2. You can mask him, you can use the eraser tool, however you need to do it. But the other thing you need to keep in mind is that he's going to have to be broken down for animation later. So it's a little bit easier to go ahead and do that now while you're working in the program. So you're going to come over and see my layers over here. You'll see I have multiple layers. I'm going to go ahead and close my balloons and close my background so you can see all these layers that I've left open breaks this bear down into its basic parts. So kind of think about it this way. You're probably going to have a separate head, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a body, no matter what character you're using, because those will be the places that they move from. So you need to think about where those joints are. So if I close some of these down and I break it down, I can show you even better. So I have the head as a piece, I have the body as a piece, I have both arms, both legs as pieces, and then I also have his tie as a piece. Now, this is kind of your rough draft for doing this. So if you break him down more than you need to or less than you need to, that's fine. When we get later in the semester, if you need to come back and do more for your animation, you can do that. So this is just for you to kind of get started on. So kind of consider where you think you'll be moving them from. For example, working on my project, I may not need his head to be a separate piece because I may just want it to move with the body and I'm not planning on shifting it or animating it. I'm just going to do the arms and the legs. Then I don't have to detach the head from the body. But right now, do the best that you can with the detachments just to make it easier for yourself later. Then I'm going to open those other ones back up. You can kind of see everything together again. Now for mine, I'm thinking about the future. I know for my final project, I want to have 2 characters and not 1. I'm already working in Photoshop, so I went ahead and made my second character. For my second character, I found a doll to go with my teddy bear. This was the coloring book page I decided to use, and I turned it into this. So again, I wanted to have texture in it so that they kind of feel like they go together. So I used this kind of sweater texture in the hat. This is the texture off the teddy bear's tie. And then I found this cute little polka dot material for her shorts and shoes. Now for our arms and her face, what I did was I ended up coloring it in using the paintbrush tool and the paint bucket tool. That just makes it a little bit nicer so that you can have some color, not necessarily texture. It just gives you a color to it, okay? And you can do the same thing for like I did with my teddy bear hands. I just painted them white. So I'm going to come back to this teddy bear just so we can kind of talk about the way to save it. So whenever you're going to go to save it, you need to save it in two ways. The first way is you're going to save as is. You just go up to File and Save As. You can name it here. You can put it wherever you want to save to. And you're going to save it as a PSD file. That PSD file is going to keep all of these layers so that later on when we go back to work on this or to move it over into the final project, you'll have all your layers still. Okay, so normally, you change the name, make sure this says Photoshop, and you would hit save. I'm not going to save mine because I've already saved it. I'm going to hit cancel. Now, you'll have to save it a second way as well. So what you're going to turn into me will be a flattened image. That's whenever we have all these layers like condensed down, compressed into one. So what we'll have to do is come over here, do the drop down and flatten the image. Okay, so let me do that one more time. It's right here where these little lines are in your layers panel. Flatten image, discard, that's fine. Now you'll see I only have one layer. If I wanted to go back and work on this, I wouldn't be able to once I save it because it's only one layer. I'd have to like completely start from scratch. So this is, you're just turning this into me because it's a smaller file. So you're going to come up here and do File and Save As again. This time you're going to make sure you change this to JPEG. You can leave the name the same and hit save and save it along with the other one. Okay. Again, I'm going to hit cancel because I don't need to save it, but that's how you would save it. I am going to, if you have any questions, I am here for you. Shoot me an email. I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. And I really look forward to seeing what you guys start creating towards your final.